Hello, I'm David Hughes. Welcome to Your Perfect Body, the podcast of the Esoteric Teaching Community. Today's installment is an essay entitled The Service Attitude. One quality that all spiritually advanced people share is the service attitude. This attitude of service to Krishna is the most valuable possession for anyone who wants to make spiritual advancement. In material consciousness, we are all competing to see who can be the master. But this is all illusion. We are not masters, but servants. When Sanatana Goswami asked Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about the Swarup, or eternal constitutional position of every living being, the Lord replied, Jivera Sarupa Hai, Krishnera Nityadash, Krishnera Tatashta Shakti, Bedha Bedha Prakash. It is the living entity's constitutional position to be an eternal servant of Krishna, because he is the marginal energy of Krishna and a manifestation simultaneously one with and different from the Lord. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 20:108. Therefore, the Swarupa, or constitutional position, of every living being is to render service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we analyze this statement of Lord Chaitanya, we can easily understand that every living being is constantly engaged in rendering service to other living beings. A living being serves other living beings in various capacities. By doing so, the living entity enjoys life, because this exchange of service is a symptom of love. One friend serves another friend. The mother serves the children. The wife serves the husband. The husband serves the wife. The employee serves the employer. The citizen serves the state, and so on. If we go on analyzing like this, it will be seen that there is no exception in the society of living beings to the activity of service. The politician presents his manifesto for the public to convince them of his capacity for service to the country. The voters serve the politician by casting their valuable votes, thinking that he will render valuable service to society. The shopkeeper serves the customer, and the artisan serves the capitalist. The capitalist serves the family, and the family serves the state, etc., etc., etc. If we look at life in terms of the eternal service capacity of the eternal living being, we see that no living being is exempt from rendering service to other living beings. We can therefore conclude that service is the constant occupation of the living being, and that rendering service is the eternal religion or dharma of the living being. However, not all kinds of service have the same value. Service on the material platform is temporary, like everything material. So we may think that service to the family, society, corporation, nation, religion, and so forth is very nice. But all service on the material platform is subject to the laws of material existence. We cannot find complete satisfaction in the service of temporary material objectives because the tendency to serve is the eternal nature and dharma of the eternal living being. Therefore, real service is spiritual and eternal, and the real object or beneficiary of such eternal spiritual service is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the esoteric teaching, it is said that a person whose only desire is to render transcendental loving service to the Lord is spiritually liberated in any condition of material existence. That service attitude is the Swarup, or real form, of the living entity, his perfect body. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also confirms this statement by declaring that the real spiritual form of the living entity is eternal servitorship to the Supreme Lord. Jivera Svabhava Krishna Dasha Abhiman dehe atma jnane achadita se jnana. The original nature of every living entity is to consider himself the eternal servant of Krishna. However, under the influence of Maya, illusion, he thinks himself to be the body, and thus his original consciousness is covered. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 24:201. The Mayavadi school of impersonal liberation rejects the notion of a service attitude as a fundamental attribute of a living entity. They do not know that in the transcendental world, service to the Supreme Lord is based on transcendental love. Transcendental loving service, or bhakti, can never be compared to the forced service in the material world. In the material world, even if one is under the conception that he is no one's servant, he is still the servant of his senses and mind, under the dictation of the material modes of nature. Factually, no one is master here in the material world, and therefore the servants of the senses have a very bad experience of servitude. They shudder at the thought of service because they have no knowledge of this nectarian transcendental position of service. In transcendental loving service, the servitor is as free as the Lord. The Lord is svarat, or fully independent, and the servant is also fully independent, or svarat, in the spiritual atmosphere, because there is no forced service. Transcendental loving service is due to spontaneous love. A reflected glimpse of such service is experienced in the material world, in the service of the mother to the son, the friend's service to the friend, or the wife's service to the husband. These reflections of real service by friends, parents, and wives in the material world are not forced, but are due only to love. Here in this material world, however, the loving service is only a reflection. The real service, or service in Swarup, is present in the transcendental world in association with the Lord. The very same service in transcendental love can be practiced in devotion here by performance of the process of bhakti yoga as instructed in Bhagavad-gītā and other Vedic scriptures. Jivera Swarupa Hai, Krishnera Nitya Dasha, Krishnera Tatashta Shakti, Bheda Bheda Prakasha. It is the living entity's constitutional position to be an eternal servant of Krishna, because he is the marginal energy of Krishna and a manifestation simultaneously one with and different from the Lord. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 20:108. Right now, we are under the material modes of nature. But when the living entity is situated in Vishuddha Sattva, pure consciousness transcendental to the three material modes of nature, he can perceive the form, quality, and other features of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his service attitude. The status of Vishuddha Sattva, pure goodness, is the only platform of understanding that supports full self-realization, for the Supreme Lord is always in spiritual existence beyond the modes of material nature. When one is completely free from material attachment, feelings of transcendental loving ecstasy spontaneously waken in the heart of the devotee. That is Swarupa Siddhi, the perfection of one's eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. Swarupa Siddhi, the form of one's eternal relationship with the Lord, is expressed in one of 5 transcendental mellows: neutrality, servitorship, friendship, parenthood, or conjugal love. Each of these mellows, or rasas, is perfect. But by comparative study, we can realize that the rasa of servitorship is better than the rasa of neutrality. The rasa of fraternity is better than the rasa of servitorship. Similarly, the parental rasa is better than that of fraternity, and above all other rasas is the mellow of conjugal love. However, all rasas are situated on the spiritual platform because all these relationships of perfection in love are based on a central point: service to Sri Krishna. Evan Rinam Kriya Yoga Sarve Sangsriti Hetavaha Ta Evatma Dinashaya Kalpante Kalpita Pare. When all a man's activities are dedicated to the service of the Lord, those very activities which caused his perpetual bondage become the destroyer of the tree of work. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1.534. Bhagavad-gītā compares fruitive